Hello, very good evening to our viewers. Welcome to ELITETV and you're watching Open Debate in English. I'm Chongtham Amrita, your host for this episode. And today we're going to be debating and discussing on the topic KUKI'S PERFIDY. We named this topic because we wanted to go into the details with how many narratives that the KUKI community have incited since the beginning of this conflict in Manipur, and how one after the other they have been debunked. And also today in the newspaper it was reported, there was an article that featured an interview of the army chief of India, the General Upendra Dwivedi. He said in an interview regarding the burning of the centenary gate of the Anglo-Kuki War, which turns out to be a staged event. The fact that that particular burning of the centenary gate is what led to this widespread violence in Manipur. Now, the army chief himself has clarified that the centenary gate was in fact never burned. The Jomi people have also confessed that the burning was done by using some old tires, by placing them at the base of the iron structure of the gate, and that was what was carried out as a rumor that the gate was in fact burnt down. So in fact the narrative that also the rumor that started this all, the rumor that said that the centenary gate was burned down, which led to this 20-month-long conflict in Manipur, is now completely debunked, coming from the army chief himself. Now, the army chief has rightly said that that was a well-placed, a well-timed and a lethal rumor which ignited this horrible ethnic conflict with a lot of tragedies in Manipur. Now, with this being exposed as another one of the KUKI narratives, it is now very clear that a bulk of all of the narratives are in fact false. But with recent changes in the Indo-Myanmar borders and the Army Chief's press conference today, we are going to look into this matter in much more detail. And to discuss and debate on this matter, let us take a moment to welcome our panelists first in this episode. Our first panelist for tonight is Oja Hijam Chandrakumar, advocate. Oja, welcome to Open Debate.
Thank you, Amrita, for having me here. Good evening, Amrita, and good evening, viewers.
Yes,
and my
very warm welcome to you, Oja Chandrakumar. Our second panelist for tonight is Oja Shanta Nahakpam, Secretary General, UCM. Oja, welcome to Open Debate.
Good evening, everyone.
And our third panelist for tonight is Oja Jinine Laishramcha, Assistant Professor, University of Suwon, South Korea. Oja, welcome to Open Debate once again.
My pleasure.
Okay, now let's take away with this particular topic. I'll first start with Oja Shanta Nahakpam. It is now well known and even an established fact that the centenary. Nahakpam, please give us your thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to, bring back to the point that there is no Anglo-Kuki war. It never happened.
Right.
There was a Kuki rebellion which took place long time back, and which the narco-terrorists and the militants, not the indigenous people, but those who have an ambition of a political map, linguistic and cultural political map, which they are looking into, where they have suppressed maximum of the indigenous tribes. This is what has happened. There was no Anglo-Kuki war, so there is no question of burning down any Anglo-Kuki war centenary gate.
Okay.
So I would like to put like this, that this matter has already been discussed many times in the government. The government has already taken a stand that the Anglo-Kuki war never happened. If you look at the historical records as well, such things has never happened in the state of Manipur during the time of the kings, during the time of the British era. Only there was a minor Kuki rebellion which they used that particular date to move into the future, mentioning that they had fought for the state, they had fought for the nation, and yes, many of the indigenous people might have fought with the INA. Many of the indigenous people might have been fought with the king of Manipur under his order or under the tribal chief's order. But I think to mention that there is an Anglo-Kuki war and to keep on repeating the same statement in discussion or in newspaper or anywhere gives it another another room to recognize, get it recognized itself, because once we say talking in social media platform, it creates a footprint. This is what I want to put for the first round. And secondly, regarding what the Indian Army Chief has stated, the incident which took place in Chochanpur, which started from Chochanpur, mostly from the Kangwai area, it was not a pre-planned, not pre-planned by both. I don't think it was pre-planned by both the indigenous people or both the communities which belong to indigenous group who have been living together since ages. Mostly, I think there might be some miscreants which might have come down to Kangwai, because the previously on 2 days back to May 3rd, there was a big blow on the this one open gym where LM Khawte's people and the earlier MLA, sitting MLA Mr. Angkhalian's people had a big fight over there. So the open gym was not burned, opposing the BJP government or the activity of the government, but it was a political problem between the two parties. Later on, which escalated, and because of the escalation, it came down to Kangwai Gate. Then there, the Anglo-Kuki War, so whatsoever gate it was it was burned down, and it was said to be burned down. There are many inquiries being which is happening at present. I think there is one inquiry which is being taken over by NIA also. How did the situation over there escalated? I think many of the media persons might have been called by the National Investigation Agency and other agencies to find out what actually happened on that day and who are the culprits who started it. So to end my point on the first round, I think the government of India should not, the top brass of the army, ex-army officials or different commanders of the elite forces of India who are supposed to maintain law and order, and they have a mandate of bringing India forward, handling India's integrity and sovereignty and handling internal aggression. They should abstain from talking on political matters. We have seen it already that PC Nair, who was the earlier DG of the Assam Rifles, had given statement that there is no drone bombing, there has been no rocket firing, and so on. So I think the government of India has now come up with all the reports. It might be that they have already read maximum of the reports, and now they might have realized, or they have started realizing that the situation in Manipur is not very good, and it is not a communal thing, but it is something beyond communal or beyond communities, because in the name of so-called Kuki, many of the indigenous tribe has now been submerged, because the government of India never protected the indigenous tribe to be vocal. There are incidents in Kangpokpi, in Chochanpur, where the indigenous tribe chiefs tried to speak up, but the militants or the Sioux signatories, their armed groups came down and beat them up and told them not to speak up against any of their activities. So I would strongly put my point that the government of India should try to protect the indigenous tribe, bring out the truth, and take political decision from the top political elites, but not the army chief and all other top commanders should not act like a politician. I would like to end my first round with these points.
Very good point, Oda Shanta, by mentioning that even the army chief should not act as a politician. In fact, it's very much welcome, and I think that needs to be stressed even in larger stages. Now, moving on with this debate, I'd like to come to Oda Jinine Laishramcha, that today the army chief also held an annual press conference, and in that statement that was about almost 2 hours long, in that he said that the security situation is improving in the northeast, and also regarding Manipur, he also said that because of the presence of the armed forces, the situation is now almost under control. Now, of course, recently there have been some fluttering of some violence that could have gone very bad in the beginning of this year, and it happened at Kangpokpi, but of course now it has died down, and I think it also erupted because of the presence of of BSF at Uyokjing, which the Kuki community completely was against it, and there was a brief sort of a 1 day, 2 day that lasted about 2 days in that particular violence, where the SP was even hurt. Now, of course, after that, we have not heard any such gunfights or any such incidents after that, which can also be said because of the presence of the BSF at Uyokjing, that the situation has now come almost under control. Now, the thing is that if that operation has successfully worked out, then why don't the same operation is also carried out at Haraujing, which is again another point where so many gunfights has been happening since May 3, non-stop. That is also one of the strategic points of the Kuki militants. So if a particular central armed forces is also placed at Haraujing, I think the same situation can also be put under control, and the same thing can be said with what the army chief said today. Oja Jinine, what do you think about that?
Of course, I think the situation that there are no any kind of violent activities because of the presence of the military or security forces, that's really a good sign. But we are not sure that it will be durable, how long it will be, continuing, such a good environment. Maybe this is a very short, for the short period of time, it will be very temporary, I believe. But I hope, yes, things will continue for a longer period of time. But, what we have experienced over the past few months, that now and again, off and on, violent activities are committed, and security forces are somewhere, I would like to say, involved, or they are helping in, committing or happening such crimes, or they are not doing anything to prevent such terrorist activities or violent activities. So even though I don't have a strong belief, but with there is a presence of about 1 lakh security personnel, a lot of security forces there, and as you said that such operations like that dismantling bunkers and disarmed the terrorists or militants could have been done long before, like started May 2023. So maybe June, in the month of June in the year 2023, it could have been done. But state government and New Delhi have not they have not done anything positive. But yes, this time we see some kind of short moments that no more violence, but it may continue. So it is very important that especially New Delhi should act and should continue to maintain such favorable environment that like you mentioned, that we are watching. Then there are some security forces, and and no more gunfight or no more violence from the other side towards the Meitei. So and another is the Haraujing. There are many locations, multiple locations. What happened in Churchampu, and then the More, then other places, then on national highways, 2 national highways remain unprotected, even though there are more than, I think, one Supreme Court orders to protect the national highways, but security forces instead of the deployment of the large number of security forces, national highways, national highways remain unprotected. So let's hope good things will happen soon. Yeah, that's my opinion, Amrita.
Yes, indeed. I think, Oja, you mentioned it rightly that how long will this peace last is also remains to be seen, because we know that every now and then there's a cyclic nature of violence being erupting and again dying down. So it remains to be seen. I think, Oja, you made that a very good point. Now, moving on with this, I'd like to come to Oja, Advocate Chandrakumar, that in the statement, in the speech that the Army Chief also gave today in his press conference, he said that the border is being monitored and surveillance being enhanced, and also he said that even the fencing is being continued along the Indo-Myanmar border as well. Now the thing is that recently we have seen it just a few days ago that there is now the Indo-Myanmar friendship gate is now almost open, but before that, just a few weeks ago, we have heard of this modified sort of FMR, because we know that the Union Home Minister Shri Amit Shah, he announced that the FMR is now completely scrapped. And again, now we see that a new modified FMR is now in process. It put in place. It's this new FMR gives a person of the two countries to move inside the border of at least 10 kilometers and even can stay there for 7 days. And if they want to extend that, they can still apply it and again extend their stay. Now this is very this is kind of a controversial, because if FMR is scrapped, what is this? Why is this now being put in place? And what are the motivations and justifications to put this back by renaming it some other sort of a border pass, or not even labeling it concretely? Oja Chandrakumar, what do you have to say to that?
Amrita, at this point, we can raise a question, Amrita, to put it in its actual perspective and aptly. First, that is, when was this free movement regime, in short, FMR, scrapped? And when is it reversed and reinstated, as you mentioned, in a modified form? All these diametrically opposite decisions, that is, scrapping of FMRs and reinstatement of the same in a different form, were taken during the ongoing crisis. There is no end to the Manipur crisis so far. Mm-hmm. I'll not go to the pros and cons of the FMR. The scrapping of this FMR, if I go to its genesis, and I'll put it this way: the demand of the people in the wake of the current crisis for scrapping FMR has its rooted origination from the perception of the people of the state, that is Manipur, that the Manipur crisis is because of unaccounted armed influx and illegal immigrants from the other side of the border. So by scrapping this free movement regime, that is FMR, initially the central government as well as the state government boldly took the credit while blaming previous regimes for not doing so. So it was also claimed as one of the major policy shifts in favor of the people of the state. Now the question remains, why such shift again by reinstating this FMR in a different form, or by changing the nomenclature? So now again another question can be raised, that is there any change of circumstances or situational changes then and now. I mean, while scrapping and while reinstating. As I have already said that we need to see different timeline. But these timelines comes within the purview of the ongoing crisis only. So now, whether there is a change in circumstances or situational changes now and then the answer is a very emphatic no.
Okay.
So now another question: why this policy or stain of the central government change again? So this is a pertinent question to raise. So in my humble opinion, the central government is exercising its appeasement policy with no real intention to scrap it. To just the initial scrapping of FMR was just to subdue and subside the public pressure, only to reinstate these FMR after some time. That is, now they are doing. Sometime for the reason ways known to them. In short, they never had this intention to scrap the FMR.
Okay.
In my opinion, they don't see this FMR as a genuine problem, particularly when it comes to Indian context, not to the Manipur context. So another issue we can raise is, if free movement regime is there because of the cultural and ethnic proximity between the people living across the borders, then one question, then why there is no such FMR in the Punjab provinces within India and the Punjab provinces within the Pakistan?
Right.
Why this double standard?
All right.
So this is my take.
Very good point, Oja, you highlighted, and a very interesting part of that issue. Now moving on to the second round, I'd like to come to Oja Shanta again. Now recently, Oja Shanta, the Indo-Myanmar Friendship Gates 1 and 2 has been opened, and it's been said that it is to boost trade between the two countries. Now the news may seem to be something of a positive note, but in fact, who in their right mind would now go from Imphal to Moreh to conduct any kind of business or economic activities at the current conditions? Because even though the Friendship Gate is now open for trade purposes, the other side, which is the Myanmar side of the gate, is still closed. Now, there is a video that is doing the rounds in social media saying that this opening of the Friendship Gate is almost to aid the PDF to occupy the Sagaing division, because those are where the Kuki community, especially the militants, have not been able to occupy for the last for a long time. And now this is what's the particular word that I'm looking for, which is it's a particular way from the Indian government side to the Kuki community to aid them in order and help them to occupy the particular Sagaing division of Myanmar. So this seems very ill-timed to open the Friendship Gates at such a time, just talking about in the name of economic activities and to boost trade. But there is a lot to be asked from this. A lot of questions are being raised as well. So Oja Shanta, according to you, do you think this is particularly and purely for trade exercise and trade purposes, or do you think there is any other ulterior motives on this?
I think the scrapping of FMR and re-bringing the same kind of process and same name with a different process. I strongly believe that it is just to appease the people, the citizens which are living near the border area.
Okay.
Because as per the media reports which we have been looking into, or which we have seen in the previous 3-4 months, after which the Indian government had decided to to fence the border. Most of the communities have urged the government to not go ahead with the fencing, because their brothers and sisters would be separated to different countries. So earlier, since independence or pre-independence, different villages which have been living together before the merger of Manipur to the Indian Union it was a different story. The villagers used to have different treaties among themselves. Now, as per the law of the world or the international law, we have to look into a constitution which needs to have a border. If we if we keep our border open, then there can be problems related to internal security, problems related to drug trafficking, human trafficking, counter-terrorism issues. So many things can come up. But I don't think that the opening of this Myanmar Gate 1 or 2 is related to trade at any aspect, because the the people the people who are guarding the Technopole district or the state of Manipur, the law enforcement agencies have not been able to bring normalcy in that particular region. Not only that, but they are not able to open the route to that particular town. For instance, trade can only prevail when different communities interact and move together, when they have proper interaction, cross connection of money, cross connection of goods movement. There are so many things. But in the case of More, the people in Imphal, the people in Valley are not able to go to More. They cannot cross. They cannot even cross Palel. After Chandel, they cannot cross it. So when we have a division inside the state where different communities cannot walk into each other's life, and the law is not able to protect or convince the people to live together, then what sort of trade or what sort of border opening are we talking about? Secondly, the position in Myanmar is not very good. Since the trouble of militia and different groups or armed groups has been happening in Myanmar, the Myanmarese side has minimized the number of Myanmarese officials which are supposed to look after trade, supposed to look after different documents, supposed to look after the law and order on the border region. There used to be regular border talks, regular border meetings, border meet, and I don't think that after the crisis started in Myanmar and in Manipur, the border meetings have not happened for quite a long time. So in my opinion, it's my personal opinion. I'm not blaming the government or the law enforcement agencies, but they have a bigger role to play. They have to, first of all, they have to convince the people to interact with each other that they are there. They are there with their arms in hand to support and protect them. If any miscreants comes down on the hill or in the valley, or in the More town or anywhere else, to destabilize the peace process or destabilize the internal community contact, then they are ready to take action against them. But it seems that they are still waiting for a political decision, which a political order to take action against such people. Until and unless they receive the order, they are not going to do anything. So any kind of political opening of such border or any kind of political decision will not will not be taken up effectively by the people of the state. This is what I would like to conclude in my second round. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. I think a well thought out plan really needs to be in place regarding the border issue, because FMR and border fencing still seems to be not moving at all, and also seems to be not helping at all in this regard. And also a lot of questions regarding the Friendship Gate being opening and the new FMR being restored. So a lot to be said, and I think a lot has been said already. But now moving on with this topic, with this debate, in another one of the KUKI perfidies that has recently flared up is the issue between the Liang community and the KUKI community. Now the thing is that just a few weeks, just last week, I think just a few days ago, the KUKI communities residing in the Liang area, the Leilon Vaifei, sorry about that, in Leilon Vaifei, they have roughed up a Liang woman, and because of that now some issues are flaring up between the KUKI communities and the Liang communities. Now just a few days ago, the Liang inhabitants of the Konsakol area, they have given an ultimatum to the Kuki community to move away from the Leilon Waifei. Now the thing is that just a few years ago in 2020, land deeds have been also made public. It also showed that who really are the landowners of Leilon Waifei. It was in fact given out as a leash to the Kuki communities for about 100 years, and now that has expired in 2020. And of course now the rightful landowners are now trying to claim their own village. In that issue as well, now this is another one of the Kuki perfidies that we are discussing in this topic. Now, with such an issue, such a huge issue flaring up between the two communities, which could go wrong at any time, why hasn't the state government intervened to peacefully negotiate, or either to just make it calm down, or maybe give justice to the communities? This is a question I'd like to put to Jinine, that this issue is now in some kind of a limbo, but it looks like the state government is not giving any attention to it. And it might turn any way, any day, it could turn worse. So, Judge Jinine, according to you, what do you think the state government can do at this point, and why isn't this being looked into?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point already you made. So the responsibility, the role of the state government, Manipur government, is a very crucial, I mean, very important. But as we have been, witnessing that Manipur government has not done or has not been doing anything positive so far. That's one thing. And second is such kind of dispute or such kind of violent kind of things are because of the prolonged corruption, or I can say because of the past absence of the governance, like 5 or 15 or 20 years ago, the governance, the administration did not do anything that can sort out such kind of thing. So a past government, let's say Congress, of course, because of the Congress administration over the last 15, 20 or 30 years, and because of that, all facts, things are coming up now and again. So two situations, two realities. One is that present government are not doing anything positive, functioning, legitimate, and second is because of the past bad things. So such the disputes or land disputes are happening, and it will happen because of the you see the quality, nature of the governance that people have been experiencing over the last decades. So governance is the key thing. And here, one more thing, New Delhi should do something healthy, functional, legitimate to stop or to prevent or to discontinue such kind of land disputes. And for the New Delhi, I hope it will be a small job for them if they have good intention. But the question is that intention of the New Delhi is really, really horrible. And at the same time, government, I mean, Manipur government is like a puppet, good for nothing. This is the reality, and we are facing now. So not only the land disputes between or among the communities have happened and will continue and happening now. So also, the people, including other communities and also Mitai community, we should respond honestly And so the thing is that honesty is also one very important element to resolve such crisis. So there are multiple small elements. Sometimes such elements are the distraction of the main important happening crisis in Manipur. So it's a very unfortunate, and I would like to say again, there are multiple factors and elements that are contributing to the crisis. So people are suffering a lot, and we have to
Jinine, can you hear us? I think we may have a connection issue, and I think your visual is lagging at this point. It looks like we've lost connection. We will come back to Jinine in just a moment. Now, moving on with this debate, I will have liked to hear the concluding remarks from Jinine. But anyway, we will move on with this debate to Hijam Chandrakumar. That regarding that. The phrase that peace has returned to Manipur, even the army chief also mentioned that the security situation is improving in the northeast, and also regarding Manipur that there are bouts of violence. He said that there are cyclical nature of violence keeps erupting in Manipur, and other than that, he seems to imply that peace has in fact returned to Manipur. And even the state government likes to tout the same image that peace has returned to Manipur. The thing is that various groups interpret that phrase differently. What does peace returning to Manipur mean when there are still a lot of people languishing in relief camps? Some people say that when the people in IDPs return back to their homes, that will be called that. It can be said that peace has returned to Manipur. Some say that as long as the gunfights has reduced and there are no sounds of gun firings, then it can be called that peace has returned to Manipur. And also some say that if the valley people can move freely to the hill areas without any buffer zones, can be called that there is peace in Manipur. But the fact remains that there are still a lot of victims from this violence, not just victims of just kidnapping and murder, well, even that, and also a lot more heinous crimes that have been committed. There are almost 12,000 FIRs in the courts of Manipur that still waiting for justice to be meted out to them. Now, what will happen to them? When will peace truly return? Do you think that when the justice is given out to all the 12,000 FIRs, people still awaiting their justice to be meted out to them, only then can peace be returned? What, according to you, do you think that peace can return to Manipur? Hijam Chandrakumar.
Amrita, am I putting my phone
yes,
in
yes, Hijam, we can hear you.
Okay. Amrita, like when we shape peace, we need to talk about the reference up to the different point of time. So, are we referring to the absence of violence or reduction of violence during the crisis? Number one. Number two, are we referring to the reopening of school, colleges, government offices, and institutions? Or are we referring to the decreasing in the number of agitations, or the public outcry, or the silence of the public outcry, or the absence of the public outcries for a while? Or are we referring to the pre-3rd May 2023, when this current crisis erupted? So now, if somebody is asserting that peace is returning in Manipur, I back to differ, because now if at all this so-called peace is returning or has returned to the present crisis in Manipur, then why are there these coercive measures being deployed to stop torching of houses exchange of gunfights using more than 50K or 1 lakh or so central and state forces. And one of my co-panelists was also mentioning and talking about the durability of this so-called peace. And we cannot oversight of the very fact that even one IPS officer, SP of Kangpokpi, was hurt and injured recently. And we all have seen the arm-yielding Kuki militants were seen roaming freely with a war cry, which went viral in all sort of social media platforms. And if there are peace, then why are these IDPs numbering to 60,000 are still languishing in various relief camps instead of returning to their original home or places? Then fact remains that had there been peace in its real sense, the IDPs would be happily go back to their original home with or without security. So there must be a sense of security, as per me. And I cannot also undermine that the people of this state are yet to recover from the spine-chilling incident and event of very unfortunate incident of kidnapping and cold-blooded murder of killings of 3 unarmed innocent women and 3 children, including 1 8-month-old infant, and one Laishram Kamal Babu went missing from the 57 Mountain Division cantonment area in the broad daylight, and his whereabouts is yet to be ascertained. So the peace has returned to Manipur is a hoax and an optics to divert and to mislead the people. This is my take on your second point and second round of questioning.
Very beautifully said, Hijam Chandrakumar. Thank you for that. Now, moving on with the last segment of today's topic, Shanta, you maintained that before in the opening round that there is no such thing as an Anglo-Kuki war. In fact, that is still maintained by the majority of the people. But the question remains that it is not just the first time that the Kuki community have, in fact, tried to rewrite history and also, in fact, inflate this sort of such historical incident into something that's much bigger than that actually happened. At this point, Shanta, what can policymakers, educators, and even historians do so that such kind of history, that what has happened has happened. There is no need to rewrite history. So when such attempts occur, what do you think can the policymakers and even the historians do so that history is not changed? History remains as it is. Shanta, your thoughts?
You see, love of the nation, love of your people, love of the nation, your state and your existence needs to come through education as well. You know, like for example, you are being studying in a Western education model where you only learn how to write and read, but you do not learn your history, political history, history of existence, history of trade, the history of you see the kings of of our kingdom, and suddenly you come up with an idea that you love the nation and you want to do something for the nation with the whole education you get without a slight knowledge of how we have been living together since so-called 3,000 years. Education, since we were born, we went to Catholic schools, we studied Western model of education as we thought that it is more civilized, but not even a single page or single book was studied on the history of the state. Yes, when we talk the history of the state, it doesn't necessarily only means the history of who ruled when. We should also study the history of disease, the history of pandemic, the history of trade between cross-border trade. You see, there are so many. We the Meiteis, we claim that Kabo Valley belonged to us. We had very good relation with Thai, the people of Thai. But do we have any written document on the relation of trade? Has anybody ever written anything related to business movement in 1800 AD, 1600, 1500, 1100? Have we got anything like that with proof or documents? This is why the Assam Rifles or the retired army officers, when they get retired, they start behaving like the lord of the British era. When they get retired, they simply open up their diary, start writing a book. They'll simply write that in Chorchanpur, so and so people live there. I have met him on so and so there. Their living standard is this. They live like this. And suddenly the book is published. With no historical records, no theoretical experience, suddenly a colonel of some rifles or brigadier or suddenly an army officer decides to write a book related to the history of Manipur. Who is going to verify it? It is only when you can put in various level of love for your nation. Love for your nation doesn't mean that you come up in arms and you keep on fighting the Kukis, or you keep on fighting the Indian army and you say that yes, we are going to get independent. Not necessarily that. We have to preserve, protect, protect and pursue the history of our nation into a level where we can keep struggling and maintain our sanctity and fight with the bigger civilized nations. If we cannot do that, then the education which we are having, whether we study in Singapore, we'll keep talking about Singapore that yes, they are very developed. Manipur will never develop. When we stay in Delhi, we'll keep on talking that yes, Delhi has already developed. Manipur is still in the old ages. Somebody living in Korea will say the same thing. Somebody living in Canada will say the same thing. If we do not try to incorporate the history of the state, the love of our motherland in our education, then I think we are going to have a hopeless society. This is, I would conclude on this.
Very beautiful point, Shanta. Thank you for that. Now, moving on with this, Jinine, I'd like to ask you that I think the central theme remains that the IDPs are still very much neglected in sort of way from the state government, in the sense that they are still not, forget the fact that they have not returned back to their home, but even in where they are staying right now at the camps, they are still barely meeting to live and maintain a very respectable way of living. Now, in that sense, what are the immediate ways that the civil society is including and also the government can do to alleviate their living conditions for a bit, even because we have heard recently another woman killing herself in one of the camps, which is very unfortunate to happen, and in fact it was something that could have been caused because of the living conditions. So, Oja, because as Oja Chandrakumar previously also mentioned regarding the IDPs and how of their condition, I think not many needs to be said. I think people already know how they are living currently. Now, so Oja Jinine, what can be done for them at such a point because of this long drawn-out conflict never coming to an end at this point? What can be done for their rehabilitation? Immediate measures and also short-term, long-term measures for them.
By the way, sorry, my electricity went out. I experienced this thing.
It's all right. It's all right. It happens in Manipur, Oja.
Somewhere in India.
It's all right.
Somewhere in India, and I've been experiencing such things again after a long time. Yes, like some days ago, I talked to some IDPs, and particularly I was asking that about their basic needs, and one important thing is that what about your beds? Now beds are supplied. They say no, they are still sleeping on the floor with low quality of the mattress. and so their health condition is badly affected because there are no any beds, and so it's been like 2 years, and the government um, has not supplied basic needs, sleeping with a thin mattress on the floor is, this is common sense. And I think uh, to provide beds, not very expensive, not very expensive. Maybe like May, I mean, in the year 2023, May, June, July, yes, government might not be able to give beds, but it's been like 2 years. So that's very unfortunate. And that's one physical needs. And second, as you mentioned, that mental health, the psychological condition is really, really serious. In such situation for the IDPs, they are homeless and they are like refugees in their own motherland, but the government has not acted or has not taken that proper responsibility towards the supplying basic needs. um, you know Over the last few months, many civil societies and the victims, I mean IDPs, they are crying, screaming, and doing a lot of protests, but things are not improving. We haven't seen any improvement kind of situation. That's really unfortunate. So, and again, when you mentioned that civil societies, there are questions that civil societies do not respond properly. I mean, honesty again, there are a lot of vested interests involved when they are helping the IDPs, and there are many, many groups with vested interest. So this is very, very unfortunate. And IDPs are suffering hence. Um, well, so, but collectively, government, New Delhi, Manipur government, and civil societies, and we people, and communities across the state, we should try again and again. And we have experienced a very bad nightmare situation, but we should try over and over. And also, I think. For the durable and the lasting kind of resolution, maybe this is a long-term kind of thing. We need a political change. So a new political change is a must. Otherwise, things will remain, and we remain, suffering from such kind of violence and nightmares. So honesty and a true patriotism and a new political change is very, very important. Otherwise, we don't see any favorable future. Does it, Amrita?
A very good point, Jinine. A political change with honesty. In fact, maybe it could be very hard to find in such a time, Oja, but still, I think we all hope that such a change do come in Manipur in the future, at least. Now, moving on to the final round of today's program, I'd like to come to Hijam Chandrakumar. And the thing I'd like to ask you is that in this long, drawn-out conflict, a lot of the youth have already given up their education, their hopes and aspirations towards a better dream and life for themselves, and have taken up their duties to guard the villages as a village volunteers, and even take part in rescuing even any of the operations that have been going on in the buffer zone areas as well. So I think it has also led to further decay of the societal structure, and not just that, it has also further polarized the state, not just polarizing between the two communities, this is also now polarizing between those who can afford to have and continue their education and those who cannot. And it has also, I think, fragmented the society further into such a situation where building it back will take much longer. But before that happens, before it further breaks down, what do you think can we still do? Even though we are still hoping for a resolution, we are very sure that it will come at a very later time. But meanwhile, I think the youth can be given some sort of respite and rehabilitate them to further come back into their path of education and their hopes and dreams. So, Hijam Chandrakumar, as the last round of today's program, please take it away. Oh, Hijam Chandrakumar, you're on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay.
Amrita, this is not a new saying that the future lies with the youth of the state or the nation. The nation's future is carried forward by the youth of the country or the state. Now, we all know that like now the youths in the states are weaponized, and now they are with their own with the very failure of the state to stamp the authority or reign on the violence has compel or propel the youths of the state to take up the arms and to protect the state from the illegal influx or the armed illegal immigrants coming across the border, or those who wants to break the state or demanding the separate administration. So the youth are now taking up arms for the love of their motherland now. And some youths are taking advantage of this. Youths are now indoctrinated, misled. Now, to me, as our brother Jinine has mentioned, that psychological counseling or the psychological treatment is highly required in the state now, because it's been almost 20 months now that we have been seeing almost 20 months and 21 months going on now. It's been 20 months that we have been facing this colossal form of violence, and people in the state are kept under some kind of hostage situation, particularly in the valley area. We are living in a very in a hostage-like situation in the state now. We are now confined to this very limited area. Had there been no airport in the state, in the Imphal Valley, then I shudder at the thought of this. Thus, because we have one airport, because of this only we can travel and we can connect with the world. Now, we need a thorough project to see that our youths are not spoiled and they are bring back to the mainstream. And I am I am now working as a member secretary in that committee on resettlement of the internally displaced persons of Manipur, as constituted by the Honorable Member of Parliament, Sri Angomcha Bimola Koijam. And we are now trying. We are not trying, and we are doing our best. The committee will hopefully submit its report by the first week or the second week of February, after conclusion of that research and survey, and to ensure that there are technically see that the problems of the IDPs are redressed, which includes the youth of the state. Amrita.
Very good point. And in fact, thank you, Oja, for highlighting that you're in the committee and also the report will be out very soon. And thank you for sharing that with ELITETV today. And at this point, we have to wrap up today's episode. But before we wrap up, I'd like to just wrap up summarize today's debate and the discussion which followed regarding the topic to the KUKI'S perfidy. We all know now that the KUKI'S perfidious nature at just floating out narratives after narratives, which can be very false. And I think one big clarity has been resolved by the statement of the army chief, and that the particular thing, the very incident which sparked this widespread violence, has come out to be false. And at this point, if the army chief has such a knowledge of this and has spoken out about this, I think we all do appeal to the government of India, the central government, the authority, who can in fact bring an end to this conflict, and also just taking into account the humanitarian crisis and the lives have lost. I think for such a rumor to spark such a big ethnic conflict in the state, it's not easy to stop, and also it's quite a big blot and a dark past and a dark phase in this whole central government as well. So I think it is high time, and I think a prayer from all the communities in Manipur to look into this matter and end this conflict. It is with that I'd like to end today's program. I'd like to thank our panelists once again for joining with us, Oja Hijam Chandrakumar, Oja Shanta Nahakpam, and also Oja Jinine Laishramcha for joining us and giving us your thoughts. Thank you all once again. And thank you once again to our viewers for tuning in tonight. We will be back again next Monday with more topics. Until then, have a good week.